All right, so I want you to imagine you're George Washington. And here's the situation. You and your army have been failing. You've been having a lot of losses, and the colonists were starting to give up hope. So they were wanting to throw in the towel. They were wanting to go to King George and say, hey, we give up. We're so sorry for trying to fight. Please don't be too mad. And Washington was there, and he's like, no, we can't give up now. I need to do something to reinvigorate the colonists, to make them excited about this war again, to want them to keep on fighting it. And so they needed a victory. So here he was in Pennsylvania, and he had 2,400 of his troops all there together. And he was like, all right, we need a victory. Now, just across this water is New Jersey. And so over there in New Jersey, there was about 1,000 Hessians. And the Hessians were these German mercenaries that were working for the English. And they're like, hey, over there in Trenton, New Jersey, we could go over there. We could beat them up, take them down real fast, get a surprise attack, and we'd have an easy victory. And so Washington was like, yeah, this is something we need to do. So if you look up here, you can see some of the houses that they were hanging out in. And so they were hanging out on this side of on the river, and they decided, okay, on a freezing cold Christmas night, they packed up a bunch of boats and a bunch of ferries, and they started working their way across the river. Now, what you see right now is you see a pretty calm river. It's a nice, beautiful summer day here. But what really was happening was this was Christmas time. This was the dead of winter. So there was probably snow coming down. There was chunks of ice floating across the river. The water would have been a lot rockier at that time as well. The water levels would have been higher. And so it would have definitely been a much more precarious undertaking to try to get 2,400 soldiers across. So they spent 10 hours that night, and in 10 hours they got every single one of the soldiers across. Now if you look, it's really not that far of a distance to go, but when you're talking about icy cold water and freezing weather and people with not enough equipment, not enough gear, not enough warm jackets, then you're talking about a really big undertaking. Once they got to the other side, they still had a 9-mile hike to go. I don't know, I want to say that's like 15 kilometers or something, I'm not sure. Maybe 17 or 18 kilometers. But they still had a long hike to go, but when they got there to the town, the Hessians had all been celebrating Christmas, so they were all still asleep, and they were able to successfully get the surprise attack. And they managed to kill about 100 of the Hessian soldiers and capture 900 Hessian soldiers, as well as get all the ammunition and all the equipment that they had. Now this particular victory reignited the war cause and gave the colonists that boost that they needed to start really pushing forward and actually start winning future battles to gain the United States' eventual independence.